Okay, let's calm down and listen together.
This is David Duke. I'm going to shock a number of people and some of my own supporters, maybe. I'm going to do what's good for white people, Europeans. I endorse for President of the United States Green Party candidate, Dr. Jill Stein. This is David Duke.
Okay, so yeah, Jill Stein's coalition is very broad and diverse. It includes Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Michael Flynn. It includes dark Republican billionaire donors, and now former KKK leader David Duke. And I know Jill Stein said this before about Hillary disavowing someone's endorsement. It doesn't mean she didn't earn it, and it's not concerning just because Hillary said she didn't want that endorsement. But now, of course, Dr. Jill Stein, a racist troll, has endorsed our campaign to draw attention to himself, and certain smear merchants are happy to platform this troll to attack us. Of course, I reject any endorsement from a white supremacist like David Duke, unlike Kamala Harris, who can't stop bragging about her endorsement from white supremacist mass murderer Dick Cheney. All right, so key differences here. Dick Cheney is coming to Kamala, crawling on his hands and knees, begging to be a part of this coalition to prevent fascism and authoritarianism in the United States. No matter what you think about Dick Cheney, he does not want the U.S. to become a fascist dictatorship. The Democratic Party is still very radically pro-trans, still talking about price gouging by corporations, expanding Medicare, doing a lot of good things. So when Dick Cheney comes to Democrats, it's with the goal of beating Donald Trump, nothing else. Okay? When David Duke, who likes chaos and white supremacy, and he believes in the world becoming more fractured and more destroyed so that his ideology can win over, he is endorsing Jill Stein because he knows that her success encourages a world like that. It's the same reason why Jill Stein's doing very well with Muslim voters in Michigan. But it's a very interesting story because in these cities and towns in Michigan with a large Muslim population where Jill Stein's doing well, these are the same cities that are banning pride flags. These are the same cities where Donald Trump goes in, and Donald Trump's campaign is talking up Jill Stein, where Donald Trump is endorsing Jill Stein in these communities. Because Jill Stein's campaign is manipulating people by using an extremely terrible situation in Palestine. She is abusing that situation for her own political goals and her own political ideology. And this has been propped up and has been very apparent. And we've talked about it. We've called it out. Many people have called it out. The Democrats are now running ads against Jill Stein. Her only intent running right now is to make Kamala Harris lose Michigan. It's not like the uncommitted movement who is organizing to move U.S. policy. The Green Party and Dr. Jill Stein, they do not care about Palestinians right now. And I know what you're going to say. Democrats and Republicans are both causing mass chaos and destruction and approving these funds that are being used in these very harmful ways. And yes, we know this. But that 5% population that has been killed in Palestine or Gaza can easily get to 50, 60, 70% if Donald Trump wins. And that's a terrible way to talk about it, but that's the real calculation we are making. And plus, black and brown people in the United States, Donald Trump winning means the military and the National Guard is going to be weaponized as Donald Trump's personal police force, and militia groups will be emboldened to attack black and brown people in the U.S. They're going to be claiming, just like we saw in the UK, hey, look, there's a brown person. They must be an illegal immigrant. Let's go beat them up and get them out of our country. These militias are empowered. Militias already held up FEMA workers with assault weapons, threatening to harm them because of what Donald Trump has said. So we're talking about a situation where Donald Trump winning means a far worse situation for every person, every minority group, not limited to Palestinians, which the Palestinian cause becomes even more dire if Trump wins. Israel wants Donald Trump to win. Netanyahu wants Donald Trump to win. It's very clear. Not only will that be worse, but now in the United States, we will be fighting fascism and ultra-nationalist, nativist authoritarianism from Donald Trump, who's going to destroy the entire federal government. Every progressive cause in America will be put on the back burner to address this current crisis. If Kamala Harris wins, our chances to organize for progressive causes will increase by many factors. It'll increase by many exponential, numerical, whatever. The chances of organizing for progressive causes under Harris exist, okay? And they exist in a really strong way. The chances under Donald Trump do not exist. It's going to be 4 years of fighting Trump, making sure he doesn't cause a race war in America, and then another 40 years of dealing with the courts that Donald Trump makes even worse that will be there for our entire lifetimes. There are too many arguments, and the fact that Jill Stein's only goal now isn't to build coalition, is not to influence policy, it's only to make Kamala lose Michigan, is frankly disgusting. And there's a reason David Duke is having fun here and saying he's going to endorse Jill Stein. And it's because she is a useful idiot. I get it. You can talk about how you don't want the endorsement and you disavow everything about David Duke, but there is a reason you are in this position. And the word useful idiot gets brought up. The idea that Jill Stein was brought to these fancy dinners for Russian state television, and they compare Russian state TV to MSNBC and the BBC is absolutely wild. And if Jill Stein truly does not realize that she is being molded into this Russian disinfo, DNC spoiler candidate, if she doesn't realize it, she's either intentionally bad or she's a useful idiot. There's no in between here. And they're toying around with these concepts of supporting Jill Stein and supporting the Green Party, and Republicans are spending tons of money to prop up Jill Stein's campaign. And you would think within all of these situations, not even from a moral judgment, but you would think you would think anyone would just think, like, why is this happening? Why are they supporting my campaign? Yeah, she would have to, right? She would have to have that thought process. And like I said before, these Muslim groups in Michigan who are supporting her have very regressive social views. So it's easier for them to say, we don't support gay marriage and gay people. And the Trump campaign can come in and talk about being anti-war. And if they don't want to vote for Donald Trump because he had a Muslim ban, then what happens is Jill Stein gives these voters a safe ramp off of Donald Trump and off of Kamala Harris. So Jill Stein is being used in this prime position to take votes away from Harris to make to try and make her lose Michigan, but with no actual policy or moral goals in sight or pragmatic reasoning. There's no why or how. It's really funny as well because I always talk about Jill Stein is unable to criticize Donald Trump without saying Harris is bad too. And Jill Stein cannot even hold herself accountable without saying, unlike Kamala Harris, who can't stop bragging about her endorsement from white supremacist mass murderer Dick Cheney, I'll actually deny David Duke's endorsement. It's like, dude, are we talking about the real world and influencing the real world? Or are we talking about your personal vanity project, aka the fake Green Party, which has no real organization across all of America? And it pretty much, honestly, it should have some more momentum than it does in actual areas where power and political power matters, not in a plus 90 Democrat district. But yeah, it's really interesting. Even when criticizing herself, she has to bring Kamala in. She has to talk about, what about her? What about Kamala? Yeah, it's so weak. There's nothing to stand on. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, channel memberships are open. They start at $3. You get a special badge in the comments, highlighted comments, and also I will respond to everything, special emotes, special private chats to get more insight into my personal organizing life, maybe possible races I can run for, so you can support that as well with only $3 a month or higher tiers. That'd be awesome. But yeah, it takes a couple hours a day to make these videos. It'd be great to have your support.